Welcome to biology class. In the previous video, we discussed about epithelial tissues. In this video, we will learn about connective tissue. Group of cells form a structure called as tissue. In connective tissue, in addition to the group of cells, intercellular substance called as matrix is present. The group of cells and the intercellular substance matrix together form the connective tissue. The connective tissues function to bind the different tissues. Connective tissues support. Bone is a connective tissue. It acts as a supportive structure. Connective tissue involved in protecting the fibrous tissue around the organs, protect the organs. Skeletal connective tissue protects the soft brain and spinal cord. The fat storing cells act as connecting tissue. This connective tissue acts as insulating layer below the skin, and the fat layer stores energy. Blood is a fluid connective tissue. It transports substances within the body. Connective tissues develop from mesoderm. Triploblastic organisms have outer ectoderm, inner endoderm, and middle mesoderm. From the mesoderm, connective tissues develop. The components of connective tissue are matrix, connective tissue cells, and fibers. The matrix is a substance found between the cells. In bone, the matrix is hard. In cartilage, the matrix is flexible. Blood has liquid matrix. And the connective tissue cells are the important components. In blood, blood cells are the connective tissue cells. In bone, bone cells are the connective tissue cells. In some connective tissues, fibers are also present. There are three kinds of fibers. The fibers of the connective tissue provide support. Collagen fibers, elastic fibers, and reticular fibers are the common fibers of connective tissues. These are protein fibers. Now let us see the three major types of connective tissues. Loose connective tissues, dense connective tissues, specialized connective tissues are the three major types of connective tissues. Loose connective tissues, dense connective tissues, specialized connective tissues are the three major types of connective tissues. Let us see the subtypes of these three. Loose connective tissues include areolar tissue, adipose tissue, and reticular tissue. Dense connective tissue includes dense regular, dense irregular, and elastic connective tissues. Specialized connective tissues are cartilage, bone, and blood. Let us see the types one by one in detail. In loose connective tissue, the ground substances form semi-fluid. In the semi-fluid ground substances contain cells and fibers. The cells and fibers are found in the semi-fluid ground substance. Cells and fibers are loosely arranged in loose connective tissues. The first type of loose connective tissues is areolar connective tissue. It forms a foam-like appearance. It is found below the skin. It is a supportive framework for the epithelium of the skin. It is a reservoir of water and salts for the surrounding body tissues. Areolar connective tissue makes the surrounding body tissues wet and supplies water, salt, and other nutrients. It is called as tissue fluid. The tissue fluid contains cells. The types of cells found in tissue fluid are fibroblasts, macrophages, and mast cells. Mast cells secrete chemicals for immunity. Macrophages are phagocytic cells. They engulf disease-causing organisms. Fibroblasts are the cells, they produce collagen fibers. This diagram shows various components of the areolar connective tissue. This is a fibroblast cell, it secretes collagen fibers, and this is macrophage. Macrophage engulfs foreign materials. The second type of loose connective tissue is adipose tissue. It is made up of fat storing cells. It is also found below the skin. The fat storing cells form a small cytoplasm and more fat. The cell is filled with more fat. These fat cells are called as adipocytes. Adipocytes form 90% of the adipose tissue mass. Adipose tissues perform the following functions. It stores fat. It stores excess nutrients. Our body does not use all the nutrients of digestion. The excess nutrients are stored and the nutrients are converted into fat. While fasting, how do we get energy? While fasting, we survive, we live. This is because of the adipose tissue. These cells maintain life by producing energy and supplying energy. The adipose tissue is found in subcutaneous tissue. The tissue below the skin is called a subcutaneous tissue. It is also found as a outer surrounding layer around kidneys, eyeball, heart. The adipose tissue found around kidneys, eyeball, and heart act as cushion and prevent shock. There are two kinds of adipose tissue. One is white fat or white adipose tissue. Another type is brown fat or brown adipose tissue. White fat involves in the storage of nutrients. It stores nutrients. Brown fat contains more mitochondria. Mitochondria produces energy. When a cell has more mitochondria, the cell will be metabolically active. When a cell is metabolically active, it will produce heat. Brown fat is used to heat the bloodstream. It warms the body. It produces heat by non-shivering thermogenesis in neonates. Without shivering, the adipose tissue generates heat in newborn babies. Reticular connective tissue is similar to the areolar connective tissue, but the matrix is different. The matrix is the intercellular substance. In reticular connective tissue, the matrix includes fibroblasts. The fibroblasts are called as reticular cells. These fibroblasts produce collagen protein. In reticular connective tissue, the fibroblasts form internal framework called a stroma. The stroma has space. The space holds blood cells. The stroma is the space between the internal framework formed by fibroblasts. The stroma supports blood cells. Reticular connective tissue is found inside the organs. It supports largely lymphocytes. Lymph nodes, spleen and bone marrow has reticular connective tissue as internal framework. In the internal framework, blood cells are supported. Dense connective tissue is the second major type of connective tissue. It is called as connective tissue proper. Dense regular, dense irregular and elastic connective tissue are the three types of dense connective tissue. Fibers and fibroblasts are the major components. They are compactly packed. In dense connective tissue, the fibers and fibroblasts are tightly packed. So it is a dense connective tissue. Based on the position of fibers, when the fibers are irregularly positioned or regularly positioned, the dense connective tissue is grouped into dense regular connective tissues and dense irregular connective tissues. In dense regular connective tissues, the fibers and fibroblasts are positioned in a regular pattern. In dense irregular connective tissues, the fibers and fibroblasts are positioned in a regular pattern. Dense regular connective tissue. It has collagen fibers and few elastic fibers. In dense regular connective tissue, collagen fibers are more, elastic fibers are less. Collagen fibers are found in rows between many parallel bundles of tissues. Tissues are arranged in parallel bundles. Collagen fibers are arranged in rows between the tissues. The major type of cells is fibroblast. Fibroblasts are cells. They only secrete collagen fibers. They are present in tendon and ligaments. Tendon and ligaments are connective structures. They have great tensile strength. Tendon connects muscle to the bones. Ligaments connect two bones. The tendons and ligaments withstand great tensile stress. What is stress? Pulling force. When pulling force is applied in one direction, tendons and ligaments withstand great tensile stress. Dense irregular connective tissues. It is made up of bundles of thick collagen fibers. But the collagen fibers are arranged irregularly. Here also some elastic fibers are present. Collagen fibers are the major fibers. The major cell types are fibroblasts. Fibroblasts are cells. They only secrete collagen fibers. It is able to withstand tension exerted in many directions. Dense regular connective tissues withstand tension in single direction, but irregular connective tissues withstand tension exerted in many directions. It provides structural strength. Dense irregular connective tissue is found in skin. If we pull the skin in different directions, the skin withstands. This is because of the collagen fibers. It is also found in muscles, nerves and joints. It forms a fibrous capsule of organs. We got learned in lower classes that the kidneys are surrounded by fibrous capsule. The capsule of organs like kidneys, bones and cartilages are formed of dense Irregular connective tissues. Elastic connective tissues have fibers. High proportion of elastic fibers are found in elastic connective tissues. In dense connective tissues, elastic fibers are less. Here, in elastic connective tissues, there is high proportion of elastic fibers. It allows recoil of tissues following stretching. If we pull the rubber band stretches. If we leave it, it will recoil. It will come to the normal position. Likewise, the elastic connective tissues also recoil following the stretching. It maintains a pulsatile flow of blood through the arteries. In the arteries, when heart pumps the blood, the walls expand. When the heart is not pumping, the blood vessels relax and come to the normal position. The blood vessels recoil. This is due to the presence of elastic connective tissues. The passive recoil of lungs followed by inspiration is due to elastic connective tissues. Inspiration is an active process. We apply energy for inspiration, but expiration is a passive process. The muscles recoil. This is because of elastic connective tissues. It is found in the wall of larger arteries, ligaments associated with vertebral column, within the wall of branchial tubes. Specialized connective tissues are cartilage, bone, and blood. In cartilage, the matrix is flexible. In bone, the matrix is hard. Blood has liquid matrix. Cartilage is a hard tissue, but it is flexible. It is a solid tissue, but flexible. In cartilage, the intercellular material, that is matrix, is solid, pliable, and resists compression. It is pliable, it bends. The cells of the cartilage are called as chondrocytes. Chondrocytes are the cartilage cells. These cells are found in the matrix. The matrix has small cavities. Within the small cavities, chondrocytes are kept. In vertebrate embryos, that is embryo of fishes, amphibians, reptiles, aves, mammals, more amount of cartilage is present. In adult, the cartilages are replaced by bones. In adult body, cartilages are found in certain regions. They are tip of the nose, outer ear joints, ear pinna, between adjacent bones of the vertebral column. Vertebral column is made up of a series of bones. In between the bones, cartilage is present. Cartilage is also present at the ends of long bones. Bones are hard structures. The ground substance is formed of rich calcium salts and collagen fibers. Because of the rich calcium salts and collagen fibers, the ground substance is hard and non-pliable. The hard nature of bone is due to the ground substance. Bone cells are called as osteocytes. These bone cells are found in the lacunae of the matrix. The matrix has faces called as lacunae. Inside the lacunae, bone cells are kept. The bone cells involve in weight-bearing functions. The long bones carry the weight, and the bones provide place for the attachment of skeletal muscles. By combining with the muscles, they provide movement of the body. The bone marrow is a place of production of blood cells. Blood is a fluid connective tissue. The fluid part of blood is plasma. Plasma is a fluid part. It forms 55% of the composition of blood. The solid part includes red blood cells, white blood cells, and platelets. Blood is a transporting tissue. It transports nutrients, waste materials, and respiratory gases. What